Naked Shamanism. Welcome to With Insights Radio. I'm your host, Iggy Garcia. I will take you on a journey across the universe through shamanism, metaphysical, and holistic. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. All right, here we go. Welcome to Iggy Garcia Live, the Naked Shaman. Today's show is episode 161. So, like we start every show, we're going to light some candles. We're going to light multiple candles today. There's a lot of things going on right now. Alright. So, okay, we're going to light these candles. They'll burn pretty quick. But I want to give thanks to my ancestors, give thanks to everybody who's here today. I hope every kid had a nice Halloween today. I hope they had a nice Beggars Night. And so, just setting up energy, setting up the good vibrations, the good energies that we need. The world really needs it right now. There's a lot happening in the world. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things just that we have to address over a period of time. And sometimes we need some call. We need to call in energies, call in spirit, call in God, call in the angels, call in all the things to help us and help us navigate through this world that we're traveling through. So, put this aside here. Good, and I'm going to light this sage here real quick. Bring forth this good energy. Healing energy as we prepare our show. That's good. So, above me, you can't really see it because what's going on is up here. I have a bunch of sage hanging here. It's gonna clear my throat here. Get a little water here real quick. I apologize, guys. I got people who smoke in my house, and that just gets to my throat sometimes, so it's not their fault. They smoke, but I just have to work on not let it affect me. All right, so I'm here today, talking. I think sometimes it's just good to talk and share and just feel your emotions and just kind of talk about the things that sometimes we don't get to talk about, you know. And so I want to say hi to Anne Marie there, poking in there. Hello. Welcome to the show. So you can leave comments here and be glad to share with you, and hopefully you guys can hear me and see me. I think I'm on. Facebook just changed their format on how they're doing things, so hopefully you're able to see me and able to hear me as well. So there's a lot happening right now. There's a lot going on in the world. And the world is in a place of flux, in a place of trying to find its way, because the people in it are trying to find answers and trying to resonate with the energies that they need to bring into their lives. And so right now, I know that people are struggling and they're going through a lot of different things and debating and trying to figure out answers and things to their lives about what they're doing. And sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult because, you know, we're used to having the answer. We're used to having someone give us pretty direct message or direct connotation to what our question is. And so right now the world is not like that. It's not so clean cut and dry like I don't think it ever was, but you had answers to things that you, when you wanted to know something, you were able to search it and find it. Now it's not like that. Things happen very quickly, very fast. I know that people are struggling to find their way because we are a society of people pleasers. Sometimes we want to please people and we don't want to upset people, so we put aside our beliefs and our things in order to appease or to not offend or not hurt somebody. But what I'm finding now, it's just better to be honest and to be truthful with people. And you don't have to be direct and mean and abusive about it. But I think it's really important that we share our feelings and our emotions about how we feel about things. In shamanism, the reason people come to a shaman is because they've not expressed their feelings or emotions. They've lost their soul. They've lost a piece and part of themselves. They've lost an aspect of who they believe they are, or not able to recoup. Now, sometimes you can recoup the pieces and parts, and sometimes you can't, but you can always replace them with some really good energies and good vibrations and stuff. So it's not like it's a lost cause. But a lot of people who work with shaman practitioners, or shaman elders, or shaman priests, or shaman witches, or shaman, you name it, you just add it, shaman healers, native healers. A lot of people find themselves in a place where they're trying to find answers, and the answers are everywhere. And sometimes the answers are so much that we don't even know which one's the truth anymore. The only thing we know is what we feel inside of our heart and our spirit and our soul, and what resonates with us. And I believe that's important to latch on and grab onto that, what resonates with you, and to listen to what your spirit and your soul calls you to. I think too many times we discount our spirit and our intuition because we don't trust ourselves in the past in order to come into the future and able to answer the questions that we think we need to answer. So it's it's a pretty simple math. We have to put a lot of faith and trust in ourselves, because if we don't, then who else can we trust? It's kind of like asking somebody who is a chef to make you something. You don't necessarily go to the plumber and ask you to make you, unless he's a cooking plumber. But most of the time it's not that way. You get your information from the people who you seem to have the answers that you want and the answers that you are searching for. And you go to a doctor, for example, because the doctor seems to have the answers, right? Or you go to a shaman because he has the answer. You go to a Reiki practitioner because they may have the answer. But it's not that clean, cut and dry anymore. I'm finding that now we've entered this new age of Aquarius, where things are not as they used to be, and they're not as clean cut as we used to be. Now we have to listen to signs. We have to be attentive to what we're hearing, and taking in the information, and processing that information, and taking that information not only into our logical mind, but also into our heart, souls, into our spirit, into our heart, our gut, our brain, and all that working together and simultaneously trying to figure out what the answer is. And sometimes we find it, and sometimes we don't, and that's okay. But when we're moving through this world right now, where there's so much happening right now. We have, we're battling a pandemic. We're battling, recession. We're battling depression. We're battling everything. But yet we're battling, but we're not looking at the good things that are right in front of us. We're choosing to look, and we're choosing to see things that, that we should be looking at. I think sometimes we spend too much energy. We put too much of our energy looking at all the negative things in life. Oh, we're all going to die, if we don't take the vaccine, or we're all going to die if the tornado hits us, be grateful that you're still, breathing, you're still moving, you're still being able to do the things you want to do, Be grateful when you wake up in the morning and you feel great and you're able to move. So many of us, we struggle because we're inundated with so much information and so much, stuff. If you look on Facebook now, right now, people kind of, stop talking about everything. They just drop the ball a little bit. There's a few segments of people who, kind of remind us and throw things back at us to keep us in the loop. But in general, a lot of us don't post things on social media anymore that seems to be quantitatively attacked, because of our thinking, depending on which side you're on, because both sides attack now. It's not like it's just one side. Both sides believe that, that a part of their story is true, and another side believes that their part of their story is true. And, who am I to judge, right? Who am I to say which story is correct? But this is where we're at. This is where humanity is moving to. But when I say humanity, I'm going to say into the regions of the United States is kind of where all this is really happening. We're a very impressionable group of people. We're a very impressionable society. We believe what we're told. You may disagree with me, but the majority of you, me included, sometimes we believe what we're told because there's a foundation behind it, or there's some more information behind it, or because there's something, they tell us to wash our hands, we wash our hands. They tell us to put a mask on, we put a mask on. They tell us to, wear 2 left shoes, and we put it on. I don't know why. I mean, just because scientifically things have been proven a certain way doesn't mean that scientifically we have to do everything this way. You don't obsess washing your hands every second that you can. Sometimes you just can't. I grew up in a time, and some of you have too, where we played in the mud. We came home dirty. Science has also proven too that too many showers is not good for you. All right, sometimes it's better to just be dirty for a little bit. Don't bathe one day, miss a day, 2 days. Because that way you have the natural bacteria on your body. But then we bathe with hot water, cracks our skin. Bacteria grows. We get athlete's foot. All these different things, and then they sell us products and they sell us more stuff. Just saying. Just saying. So how do we move forward? I don't know. I really don't know. Because there's so many opinions and so many beliefs. Everybody will resonate with whatever they think they need to align with. And whatever they align with is what they're going to go with. And that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at. I'm not here to tell you or dictate to you what's good for you, because only you can do that. But, we live in a martyrism society where we believe that the martyrism is the way to be. And that's why I posted on my Facebook page today, what I posted, because I thought it was important to talk about and share, a little bit about what it means to honor yourself, to what it means to be, putting yourself first. Putting yourself first. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself first. By putting yourself first, you're able to help other people. The illusion is we have to be a martyr. We totally have to sacrifice ourselves in order for us to help the whole. This is a really touchy topic because people look at it so many different ways. For example, the military is a good example. And do they do this? I don't know. A lot of it's in the movies. You see these in the movies a lot, where they send in, one guy gets trapped behind enemy lines. They send a team of 6 people to save this one guy. 4 people die, to save this one guy. And then all this loss of life to save one guy. And I'm not saying leave the guy behind, because that's not what I'm saying. But there has to be a better solution. So now we leave all these people behind in Afghanistan. How do we get them out? Are they out? Some would say, oh, that's not our problem anymore. Well, everything's our problem when we turn our head and we ignore it. Eventually it'll come and bite us in the ass. And so those are the things that I'm asking, What's it mean? What's it mean to put yourself first? It's not a selfish act. Absolutely not, because we have to take care of us. Because there's really not going to be anybody who's going to take care of us. There are people who have good intentions and they mean well and they want to help us. But in the end, they don't. In the end, they don't. They don't help. They don't help. They don't help because they're trying to help themselves. Now we're coming to a crux of things where, society is starting to see that more. And I'm not saying to not be able to help others, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying help yourself. If you have $10 in your pocket and you want to give it away, that's your choice. But if you have $10 in your pocket and you see a homeless guy and you want to go eat something, then go eat something. You're not obligated to help the homeless person. The illusion is that we're obligated to help people who can't help themselves. First of all, we need to ask why that person can't help themselves and why they're in the situation they are. But that would take us connecting and talking to them versus just handing them $5 and you taking $5 that you earned and you helped yourself with. You know, so we don't talk to people. We don't communicate to people like we used to. We've raised our kids to be stranger danger, and I understand that. I get that. Because there are strangers and there is danger, and there are people out there who will do harm to you. And I get that. So how do we do that? How do we fix that? How do we move out of that energy? How do we move out of that energy where we're afraid, we have fear, we look away from the homeless guy because we don't want to see an aspect of ourselves in that person, because that could be us. And maybe that's why we give, and maybe that's why we hand them a buck or two, because you know what? That could be us. That's different than being selfish. Then you're helping yourself because you're helping them. The true story is, how do you help them get out of the hole? How do you get them to be where they need to be and be a functioning part of society? They may never be. To understand that they may never be part of society the way we want them to be. Excuse me. And a lot plays into that. It could be mental illness. It could be, just a lack of not able to do it or not want to do it. And there are people who don't really want to move forward in life because they're happy where they're at. Not all homeless people are upset being homeless. I've met homeless people. They would rather be homeless, and they would rather be living the way they would because they've become accustomed to it. Now, there are other homeless people who know they're struggling and they're having a hard time, and it's very difficult. So it really depends who you talk to. The illusion is that we think that everything looks a certain way, but it's not. But it's not. We look at our country, we look at our situation, how this world is evolving and changing. We see that every time we have a new administration in office, certain things change and certain things happen. And certain people get left behind, certain people get elevated and moved into a certain place. But that's the reality of it. That's what happens when you have different political parties, when they pump into the system, when they come into play, when they come into the area of connecting with other people. Our biggest thing is that we don't have. This country doesn't have it, from what I can tell, from what I can gather, unless you're part of a culture, part of a upbringing that has that. It rites of passages. This country, getting your driver's license and turning 21 and drinking your beer. You already drank a beer before that, but it's not a rite of passage. I don't believe that is. In Latin communities, they have the quinceañeras, which is you turn 15 and you're walking into womanhood. Here in the United States, unless you're Jewish or Latino or some type of ethnic group, and if you're a white American, you don't really have a rite of passage. I mean, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, someone type in there what a rite of passage is. But I've not seen it. And I've not noticed it. I have not had my friends talk about it, what it means to be a rite of passage. Going to college and joining a sorority and a fraternity is not a rite of passage where your family indoctrinates you into adulthood. Maybe in college that's what it is, but from a family telling you, hey, you are now an adult. Now you are ready to go into the world and fend for yourself. And you're ready to move into the spaces and the places that you need to be. I don't see that. And I see that as a problem in a country that has melded ideals and beliefs and systems and created the big salad bowl of life, and yet we don't have any rite of passages into adulthood. Oh, you're 18 now, get out of my house. That's not a rite of passage. That's one parent going, yeah, no problem for me. You go pay your taxes too. But that's not. I don't believe that we do. Rite of passages are very super important. In Latin cultures, they have A lot of rites of passages. In shamanism, we have rites of passages. Every time that we're teaching in shamanism, we have different levels of rites of passages. So when the moment then you become that next leader, that next healer, you've moved through the levels of passages. You've moved through the levels of indoctrination. Maybe the Catholic Church has rites of passages. Become when you receive your confirmation, your first communion, and stuff like that. That might be the closest thing. But these are all religious sects. What I'm talking about is actual, family rites of passages. What does that mean? To move you into an adult. To say, hey, you know what? Now you got to pay your bills. That's what happened to me. My parents. But we don't have that. I don't see that. Let's put it that way. I don't see it. And, no one's typing here, so I'm assuming that maybe there isn't. Graduation is not a rite of passage. That's you accomplishing something. A rite of passage means stepping into manhood or womanhood and what that means to you. And I think that's why in America you see a lot of suffering in that. You see a lot of that in America where a lot of people don't have these ceremonies. We don't have these ceremonies where people are ready to move into. Sweet 16 is probably the closest thing that I can think of. I didn't have a Sweet 16. None of my friends had a Sweet 16. I went to Catholic school. I think girls had a Sweet 16, but not the boys. But I think that men, in general, realistically don't have rite of passage. And they don't understand what it means to go into become a man. And what that means to enter into manhood. It's not just being strong and the fittest and macho and how many bucks you carry in your pocket to be a man. That's not rite of passage. How do you teach a man to be respectful to himself first, and then be respectful to others, and be respectful to the people that raised him and the people who love him, and then be respectful to the person, his partner that they end up with, man or woman, doesn't matter. How do we teach these people? How do we indoctrinate that and teach that without violating or stepping over people's belief systems? Because we don't want to do that. But something that says, hey, you know what, you made it, you're here. Maybe we need to create that. Maybe the United States needs to create some kind of rite of passage, in a sense where it's not like mandatory, but it's something where, we acknowledge somebody. So I'm not sure if that will ever happen. I'm not sure if that's something that we're geared up to do. But I do believe that over time, things will develop, some things will happen. Even gangs have rites of passages, to indoctrinate you into the gang, so it's not like it's not there. But we have to work on things in a positive light, in a positive way, to move our energy into the right frame of mind. There's a lot of people who suffer because they're not connected to anybody. They're not connected to their families. They're disconnected to the people they love. They're disconnected to the people who they cared about. And now they're in search of new relationships, and they bring in the same exact energy with them into these new relationships. And everything's fine for a while, and then all of a sudden they go through this feeling, this emotion. They're treated a certain way. They're triggered, and they're in that frame of mind that something's not right with them. And then the pattern starts over. And then they play out all the same behaviors that they did with the people that they were being raised by or in relationships with. So it's pretty interesting, about how that works and what that means to people and how that works out. Religion has its types of rites of passages, but not everybody is religious. Not everybody's in religion. Not everybody is, Christian or Muslim or Hindu or whatever. Some people are atheists. Some people don't believe anything. They don't even have to be atheists. Some people just don't believe. And that's kind of where they carry their energy to the world. And you see these people. You know these people. You meet these people. You talk to these people. They become deceptive and deceiving sometimes. And sometimes they do some amazing things. But either way, not to harp on that too much, but I thought it was important to talk about that. I thought it is something that needed to be addressed, because sometimes we don't talk about the things that, are important to us. So we were talking a little bit about self and how we need to take care of ourselves. So that's one of those things that we have to keep working on. And and it's not like one of these things that just stops overnight. Because working on ourselves isn't just I guess it is an inside job, but I don't want to say it's all inside job. But part of it's an inside job. So when we're working on the aspects of the medicine wheel, they're represented by distinct points on the wheel, and all these things on the wheel represent the things that are in alignment with us, or things that we need to bring into alignment with us. And so the things that we have to work on is to understand that it's always going to be a process that will never stop. It's always going to be a process that we need to work on. In the medicine wheel, of indigenous people, and people who walk the red road, people who walk a different path, who don't walk so much in this road we call the black road. The black road is the 3D road. It's the road that we all live in. But in the middle is us. Is the focal point of ourselves, and that focal point of ourselves is to be connected to all the things in the wheel. Mauro, ¿cómo estás? And being connected to all that means that we have to understand how and all the relationships we're in with that. The center is represented by Sky Father, Earth Mother, and ourselves, which is a triangle of sorts. We sit in the middle, and we're connected to all those pieces, because we're affected to what happens by the energies of the sky, energies of God, the universe, and then we're affected by the things of the mother, of the earth. And if you think the mother is separate from the father, they're all the same. They're all in one. They're all part of the universe. They're all of us. But they have their distinct jobs, their distinct things that they do, the distinct things that we work, So basically, what I'm here to tell you is that when we sit in this wheel, that we affect the outside world by our behaviors and by the things that we do. And when we affect the outside world, it's because we're affecting our own personal world. When we affect our own personal world, okay, this is what happens. We affect our world, and it affects the world around us. Like if I don't like you anymore, let's say, I affect your world because you liked me and I liked you, but now I don't like you, so I affect your world. And that means you have to move away from me and move into another frame of existence, another meet new sets of friends, and create new energies and new vibrations for yourself. And so we're all doing this every day. We're all doing this, with clients. We're doing this with friends, with families. We're all working through this energy. So in the medicine wheel, when we're in the middle, it's a representative of sky, and earth. In the Earth Mother, she is very powerful. She's all about, the intricate system of our body. The wheel is it's the nervous system of the earth. It's everything that, how do you say, everything that you feel and touch and you taste and you're engaged with. And so these are the little pieces and points of the wheel. And just as we move through this wheel, which we call a hoop, which is all my relations, okay, all the hoop is all my relations, so we're related to everything. The illusion is that we're separate, but we're also connected. You live your life, I live my life. We're all in one thing. If the earth blew up tomorrow, we would be all my relations. We would be pulverized, and we would become a new existence. And we would be scattered throughout the universe. All my relations. We look different, we sound different, but we are not different. We just play different roles in this world. In this world that we call reality, this world that we call, Earth, this world that we call planet, Gaia, Pachamama. We play our roles here. We play our roles here. When you're moving through the medicine wheel, you go through the white, represents, which is the north, it's the wolf, it's the hummingbird. That's the respiratory system. For those of you who've been in my classes, understand these things that I'm talking about. It's about us communicating and talking and sharing. And that goes right back down the middle. right back into the center point. We're communicating to spirit, communicating to mother. We're communicating, we're breathing, we're exhaling, inhaling, taking it in, taking it out. So when we move into the east door, it's about the digestive system, okay, and all the things that has to be seen, the seas far people, the future. We process the food, we eat it, we drop it down, and it's going to a place that we don't see, seas far. And we release it into the future, which means toilet, pretty much. And then, we do it again. And we go through the process again. And we process the things that we eat, we process the foods we create, we can them, we feed them, we borrow all the things from the earth, from the people from the future, which are the children who have not been born yet. So that's the ceasefire, and that's the condor, and that's the eagle. The condor represents communication with spirit, God information, God coming to you, sharing with you. Any of the birds of prey pretty much are communication with spirit. The condor is communication with spirit, communication with Mother Earth, communication with the Sky Father. They look different, sound different, and they do different things, but they all are in communication with spirit. They all have a vital importance to what they need to do. Think about it. I just talked about the digestive system and the east door. The east door represents the digestive system. Okay, and that's the future. That's moving into, into the focal points of the future. So the condor will take and eat things that have been, that have died, mostly. The buzzards do. Condors eat living things too. But then they take that, process that food, and then they throw it, and they dump it, and they put it in places around where they live, which causes, it causes the animals, plants to grow, which the animals eat, and which, there's this whole cycle of life into the future. So the condor has a very powerful, magical energy, very strong energy, and so does the eagle. The eagle also as well. It flies high, and it sends, a message from spirit. And the condor does the same thing. Condor is not an evil creature. Condor is not a dirty creature. A condor is doing its part in the world. If you see a buzzard, a condor, it doesn't mean that evil is nearby. No, those are depictions of people who have created that to make the animal look like it's evil, because it looks mean, it looks dirty, it looks bald, and it's and it's just looks different than a lot of other birds. But it has its purpose, and it has its purpose on the planet, and that's why we have to understand that the purpose is this. The purpose is it's the recycler, it's the giver. It is its intention is to drop the magical guano. Not the eagles don't drop guano, but not the condors drop guano like crazy. All right, but it's the recycling of energies, recycling of life, bringing both together, projecting things into the future, projecting things that bring us to the place, this moment in time. And while we're in this moment in time, when we use the resources that are in front of us, we have to be conscious. We have to, conscious of what we're using and how we're using it, and what we're leaving for the next generation. And that's what the eagle and the condor remind us of. Father's talking to you, mother's talking to you. Use things appropriately. Use things in a way that's good for the world. It's good for Earth. So we move down into the east door, and the east door is a very powerful door, because that's about us. That's about our connection. That's the mouse. That's the snake. Okay, and so this is the door that it's called the looks within door. It's the spirit door. It's the skin, the bones, the muscles, our spirit of ourselves, who we are and how we see ourselves, and how we project ourselves into the world, and how we share into the world. We're green when we're born. We're green and we're learning. And that color green is representative of us, growing and sharing and creating. When we're in alignment, we become in alignment with the condor point. We come in alignment with respiratory point. Because when we speak our true voice, when we're actually open our mouth, the respiratory point comes across the medicine wheel. Respiratory is skin, bones, and muscles. It takes skin, bones, and muscles for us to talk. And our body houses our lungs, houses our esophagus, our vocal cords. It all is connected. All my relations. So when you start working on the processes of the medicine wheel, it's understanding that all these points are connected. You know, in the class that I teach, the first class, the medicine wheel's there in the packet, which I teach everybody, so they can see the points and learn the points. So when I talk about the points, they understand what I'm talking about versus trying to guess what I'm talking about. But all those points, all these points are on there, and they're written there so for people to learn, people who are taking the class, people who are walking the path with me. You know, so we move into the west door, and the west door is the buffalo, it's the puma, or the jaguar, depending on how you look at that. That's the Sikh's council door. That's the west point. That's the liver, the kidneys, you know, the gallbladder, all the things that our body is moving out. You know, all the things that our body has to process and cleanse. Because remember, our ancestors are moving. Every time an ancestor, like I become an ancestor, it's moving and putting the stuff out, cleaning and cleansing and clearing out. So the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder, all that stuff is cleaning our body. And so when we talk to our ancestors, it's going back in time and connecting with them and standing firm like the buffalo, you know, being, you know, agile and quiet like the jaguar. The jaguar is not a loud cat, you know, it does very specific things in what it does. So when we talk to our ancestors, we can connect our ancestors. A lot of people, here's the thing, a lot of people go, well, how do we talk to our ancestors? We're not supposed to talk to the dead. Who told you that? Somebody's doctrine. Believe me, the ancestors that you have, they communicate with you. They share with you. They talk with you. They're in constant communication with you. Are you listening on that frequency? Maybe not. It could be you're not on the frequency because you don't believe. You may not be on the frequency because you're not listening. And you may not be on the frequency because you're ignoring it. But either way, they communicate with you. Your ancestors communicate with you. And when they communicate with you, it's not always how you want it to be. They're going to communicate with you in ways that you will have a feeling, an emotion. You will feel energetically moved or charged to a certain degree or certain way. All right? And so when your ancestors call you, it could be very subtle. It can be very plain as day. And so I'm going to get to the story that I wanted to get to. I had a dream about my ancestors. And my mom and dad were there, and grandmas and grandpas. But there was a great-great-great-grandmother. I think it was 3 greats. And she presented herself to me in my dream. But it was a lucid. It wasn't even a dream. It was a channel. She actually came into my body and spoke with me and shared a vessel with me. We shared a vessel. Because I allowed it, number one. Number two, you know, was by invitation. Because I had called in those kind of energies to receive messages and downloads. And she talked to me in Quechua, she talked to me in Spanish, and she talked to me in broken English, but mostly in Spanish. A lot of it was in Spanish, and I totally felt the vibration. Her story was to share, and to keep sharing the message, keep teaching our ways, because if we don't teach it, it'll be lost from one generation. So you have to understand, if I don't teach it, it's lost in that generation, that gap. Now, there'll be other teachers teaching other people stuff, but that's their line. That's their lineage. That's their connection to spirit. So when I'm teaching students about connecting with spirit, I'm teaching them to connect with their ancestral connection, their ancestral line. As much as I'm teaching them to connect with mine, I'm connecting with theirs as well. But the main goal is for them to be able to use that as a resource, to be able to talk and connect and be able to share and be guided. Remember, because it's not only just energetically, you know, through the spirit and through energy that rolls through your body, but there is DNA construct inside of our body that doesn't necessarily, let me rephrase this. There's DNA construct in us that belongs to a lot of people. They got us to this point. Some people say, well, you get this stuff from your mom and your dad, and you get this from your mom and dad. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right. But they got it from somebody else too. And then they got it from somebody else. And they got it from somebody else. And they got information from somebody else. and they got generational information from somebody else, the miasms, and the information that flows through their body, through their blood, through their DNA, and through the courses through their system. But science can't prove this. Science, this is where science cannot prove how that works. But spirituality can prove this. Okay? Shamanism can prove this because it's a spoken word, it's a spoken language, it's seen in the unseen. There are things science cannot prove and will never be able to prove because you cannot be inside the spirit and the house of the soul of a human being. You cannot open it, you cannot crack it, it just is. You know how we function and work? Yeah, sure, there's electricity flowing through our body, there's all kinds of chemicals that are moving through our system, our heart's pumping, our brain's pumping, all these things are moving. Then what science doesn't tell you is how the soul and how the spirit and how that all works in us. Okay? That's not been proven. There's no way to prove it. We just are. We're alive. We're alive. We're alive because some science will say functionality. We're alive because of functionality, because how the way things move through our system. What they don't tell you is that all the chemicals in our body produce electricity, which electricity is energy. Okay? And energy cannot be destroyed. It can only mutate and change. Okay? So the energy inside of our body, which is frequency, and we come from frequency, we are frequency, we are sound. There have been scientific proofs about how in Tibet and how in these different areas they would move huge stones or destroy stones with sound. Okay? With sound energy. In Peru, they use sound energy with people with kidney stones. They send the shockwaves and then they break up the stones with sound. I don't know if they do that here. I haven't heard, but this is the kind of things they do. Have you ever had anybody yell at you? And how does that feel? Energetically, it feels not very good. Your dog doesn't really know emotion, but it can feel your emotions. Like if you talk to your dog and emotionally you yell at your dog will feel the emotion that you're giving off, the energy and the frequency you're giving off. Your cat, your animal, they know. Because it's real. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Energetically, we are here and we're energy beings. We don't just speak language, we speak frequency. We speak frequency. We speak energy that's not seen. Listen, a lot of you walk through life and you just know when somebody's not right for you, or you know when somebody's not being good to you. You know when somebody is not, energetically is giving you, some bad juju. You know this because you've experienced this. There's nobody on this thread that can tell me that's not how, they've never had that experience. Because if you feel another human's vibration, energetic vibration through their voice, then they have sent you a frequency that is out of alignment with you, and you become triggered and you become upset because of that. That's frequency, my friends. Emotions create the emotions that are charged in you. It's the frequency that someone's pushing onto you. Sometimes you don't even have to look at somebody. You don't have to talk to somebody and spew that energy on them. You can give someone mean mug somebody, and you already know what it means. And you create the chemicals and the chemistry in your body that tries to combat that and tries to keep that away from you, but then you can't because you're triggered by that person's energy. Frequency and energy is very powerful. I personally believe that actually humans were very evolved and very advanced for their time. This illusion that they were primitive people and they used primitive tools, yeah, sure, they did, but you know what? They didn't need all of this fancy stuff because they used this. They used this. They used this. They used this. They knew how to move energy. They knew how to vibrate at a frequency that they could levitate stones. I believe this with all my mind and all my heart, and this isn't conspiracy. This is just what I believe in my spirit and my soul. I've seen things and I've done things, that prove that right. When I play my drum, that's a frequency, that's a vibration that brings joy and happiness to people's hearts. So that's proof number one right there. Then when you play the drum in a loving, heartful way, people feel it. If you're facetious and angry and pissed off and you play your drum the same way, people feel it too. And they know that you're being disrespectful and rude. And you didn't even say a word. But you send out a vibration, you send out a frequency. Why do you fall in love with music when you hear a certain song or certain music? Why do you get triggered by a certain song if you don't like it or it doesn't resonate with you, because it's the frequency of the words that someone has associated, someone had pushed on them, that you're feeling the vibration. You know, we don't know how things work sometimes, and sometimes life is just about being mysterious, right? So I decided today that I was going to reconnect with one of my students who I haven't seen in a while. And, I talked with her and I shared with her, where I was at, where she was at. And I said, hey, you need to come back and learn some more. I need to learn from you as well. And I kind of said, hey, you got to come back. And I never said that. And she started laughing. She goes, yeah, I got to come back. You're right. But that was something that Spirit led me to say, and I said that. And and she resonated with us. So she's hopefully back in the fold the way we're going to figure out how that works. But it's going to work out. And then I went and I ran by the restaurant and I hung out and then had breakfast at Jack and Benny's, and then I went to the cemetery to see my family. My mom and dad are buried in the Union Cemetery here in Columbus, Ohio, not too far from the old restaurant. And it's a beautiful time. I'm enjoying the time there, and I'm just sitting there and just chilling, and I'm walking around and just pondering and I'm having a good time, playing my mom's favorite song and playing my dad's favorite song. And then, I get up and I walk to this magnolia tree, which smells great in the spring when it's blooming. But I'd never noticed it before. It was for me to notice today. I looked down and I saw these seeds. They remind me of the Wairuru beads, which are the shaman beads from Peru, from a bush called the Wairuru. And I'm going, my God, these are Wairuru beads. Where did they come from? I thought maybe someone dropped them. Then I realized they were in the tree. I didn't realize that magnolias had a very similar seed. And those seeds are like orange. I don't have any. Well, actually, can't see them, but they're on my bracelet here. Let me take this off real quick, and I'll show you for those of you looking. And there we go. There, right there. You see how it's red and black? Now, some of them were red and black. Some of them were just orange. But anyhow, I saw all these seeds, and I started to pick them up. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm like, I don't know how they'll do, or if they're going to be good, or I'm going to be able to use them in the ceremonies. But the cool part about it was that I found these seeds, and they were kind of scattered. And and I'm listening to the voices, playing out of my head about, just the things that I've experienced in the last few days or several weeks. And as I picked each one, I took a picture and I sent one to my friend Kate, and then she responded to me, there's five there, and there were five. The original were five, and there's like 5 students that I'm working with right now. And so I was like, yeah, you gotta. That's a great point. I never thought about it like that, which opened up my mind to search and keep looking for more magnolia seeds. And I found more. I ended up with 30 seeds in total, and then one of the casings. But the cool part was, as I was searching, there was little ones, there was broken ones, there was rotten ones. There was one still inside the casings that you just couldn't get out. They just wouldn't break out. The birds were eating them earlier. That's why I was curious about the birds. That's how I ended up under the tree. I usually sit there after I visit my mom and dad. And so I'm picking up all these seeds, and then all of a sudden my friend from Peru texts me. And I'm like, what the heck? And it wasn't even minutes after I started looking at these seeds. And so he's like, hey, what are you doing? Basically, he had a friend who wanted to start a podcast, and he was picking my brain for that. But it's kind of funny. And I told that to him. He goes, hey, these look like Wairuru beads. And he's like, yeah, they sure do. And I was like, and that's funny, with our connection, universal connection. We talked about the universal connection a little bit. And so I started to think about, the seeds on the ground. And I'm thinking to myself, it's interesting, the metaphor that's playing out right in front of me. And there are going to be seeds that I'm going to take with me that are going to be really good and strong. Some are going to be small and not developed. Some that are going to be, a little wounded, maybe just not in the place where they need to be. Then I looked around and I'm thinking, there was a lot of seeds that just never made it. There was a lot of seeds that were just kind of half bitten. There was kind of seeds that were just rotten, So there was this whole mirror of, creativity and what was happening in, let's say, my shamanic practice forever. For example, I'm thinking to myself, just all the people that walk through the path with me, and people who've fallen away, or people who just didn't want to do it, but yet everybody had the same opportunity to some degree. And so here we are, and I'm looking around, I'm going, and it just right in front of me is this whole thing playing out, this whole universe of a potentiality. I left 2 seeds on the tombstone, that were kind of good and bad shape. But the cool thing about it was just the sheer thinking that I was thinking about, because when I meditated, my friend told me to meditate and think about what I was feeling and what I was observing, and I was thinking, and it was like, wow, that's just a really powerful message right here, that the work is continues. The work has to move forward. What 30 means, maybe 30 people, 30 days, who knows what it means. We can take that however we want. And then I was satisfied, and I found one little strawberry, teeny little strawberry. I took a picture of it. There's on my timeline, and it was just doing its thing. Just one little picture, and it kind of looked like a little coronavirus. I thought it was kind of funny, but it was kind of neat. It's to remind me that these are things of nature. These are part of life. These are things that happen. These are things that evolve. These are things that move. They're all my relations. The shape, the geometry, and everything about life is a repetitive spiral. And I thought it was really cool. And so I'm saying bye to my mom and my dad, and I jump in my truck, and I turn on the radio, and this is crazy. I turn on the radio, and my cell phone's not hooked up to the stereo yet, and the song Ave Maria comes on. Ave Maria was one of my dad's favorite songs when he was a kid, and as an adult too, but Ave Maria was also the song that we were singing to him when he was in the hospital, when he was suffered from his accident. And I had my friend Brittany, who was there singing to my dad, and my dad just loved the song, and he was praying and trying to get through this, and I was just really moved by it, and I was listening to it and recorded it, and I shared it with several friends in my family. And here's the weird part, okay? The weird part was that wasn't on my playlist, and I don't know how it played. I don't understand, because I don't have any other app on my phone other than the Spotify that played that song. It would have played it, but it's not in my playlist, and it wasn't any of the songs that I picked, but the song played. The song played, and just, I got really emotional. I got really happy sad. If there's a such thing, happy sad, where you just kind of like, just kind of really, it moved you and it shocked you, because there's no way to prove that how that worked, how that happened. I don't have any way to know. I don't even know how that happened. It just happened. Now, we can say it was communication from spirit. It could have been my mom, my dad sending a message to me, reminding me he's okay. All I know is that song played. And when that song played, I was like, how is this happening? How is this possible? How is this possible? And I went to look on the phone because I wanted to see who the artist was, and the app wasn't even open. I was like, the heck? Did I push something on my phone? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. The only thing I can tell you is that was a divine moment, divine intervention. There was a divine experience in that moment for me. And this is paying attention. This is connected to frequency and energy. And in that moment, in my hearts of hearts, I believe that my dad was communicating with me and talking to me and sharing with me and letting me know that he's okay. I believe this. I believe this with all my heart, all my spirit, all my soul. That's what happened. And I was really happy about that. That was just really cool. And then I had all kinds of other emotions and feelings, and I let my family, my brothers and sisters know, my friends know, and my sister calls me, who I saw on Sunday, and she's checking in on me. She goes, "Are you okay? Just want to make sure you're okay." Because I wasn't sure. She wasn't sure, where I was emotionally, spiritually, or mentally or physically, because it kind of sounded. I don't know how I sound to them. I didn't know how they were reading my message, but she checked in on me, and that was really great because I've been trying to reconnect with my family for quite some time since my dad passed away. And so it was a really beautiful thing to have her call me and check up on me. I really needed that. That was a very powerful moment for me. I knew at that time that I wasn't alone. I never feel alone, but I knew I wasn't alone with my family. My family still had connection with me, still loved me. And not that I didn't think they loved me. I'm just blabbing here, but it really moved me. That all really moved me. So I guess what I'm saying is today is just pay attention to the signs. Pay attention to, yourself. Being a naked shaman to me means being open to the process, being open to all the possibilities, stripping down our guard, stripping down, letting go and releasing. So if you ever hear that intro, Naked Shaman, it just means me being genuine and real and let drop all the appearances, drop all the robes, and just be who you are. Just be who you are. And so, that was a very moving, touching moment for me. Very powerful moment for me, connecting that way and feeling that energy. And I've had amazing experiences throughout my life. And, I had amazing experiences, as an adult, as a child. As I've had, some really challenging moments in my life too. But I'll tell you one thing, that was really beautiful what I got to experience today. It was amazing. It was beautiful. I was very grateful and very thankful for that opportunity to be able to experience that moment and to find those magnolia seeds and talking with the birds and playing. I was actually playing my phone with the bird sounds on it to them, talking to them. And yeah, so that's all I really have for today. And in sharing, where I'm feeling and where I'm at. But I want to invite everybody to just kind of, listen to your intuition, listen to yourself. Higher self is calling and talking. Be your own guru. Talk, with yourself. Be in communication with yourself. Listen to yourself. If you want to connect with me, just reach me at iggygarcia.com. Or, come to one of my drum circles. I got one coming up at the Reiki Center this Saturday from 7 to 9. Come hang out with us. It's a masquerade party. It's a dress-up party. You have to wear a mask regardless because that's just what they want. And I respect that and honor that. But that's their space. And then come and drum with us. Come get some drum healing, some drum loving. And we'll just keep moving along. So do your best. Do your best every day. Be in communication, be in love with yourself and with the people that come into your sphere for a moment in time or forever. Love them. Be grateful for them. And with that, I just want to say, Ho'oponopono matakuyasin. It's good to be here. All the good things. Namaste. What is above is below. All the things that resonate with you. All the things that bring us and connect us. We are all one. We are all my relations. We are all the things, that we resonate with, and we are all the things that we don't resonate with too, because those are the things that remind us where we need to, where we're at, and where we move from, or where we're moving to. And so, There are people out there struggling. There are people out there working on themselves. You know, be patient with them. Some people just need a little more time than others, and some people will just never get there in this lifetime. And for those people, that's not your job to fix them. Your job is just to know that they're working on themselves. You keep working on you. You keep doing the best things for you. You make yourself the best version you can be. You do what you have to do in order to go where you need to be. And remember, create healthy limits and boundaries with yourself. Love yourself and honor yourself. And with that, I want to say,